Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, and for much of that time, life was relatively simple. Single-celled organisms dominated the planet for billions of years, with little change in complexity. But then, around 541 million years ago, something extraordinary happened. In a relatively short period of time, life on Earth exploded in diversity and complexity. This event, known as the Cambrian Explosion, marked a turning point in Earth's evolutionary history. In today's video, we're going to explore the Cambrian Explosion and why it's such a pivotal event in the history of life on Earth. So, what was the Cambrian Explosion? About 541 million years ago, life on Earth underwent a dramatic transformation. Before this period, most life forms were simple and lacked hard body parts. But during the Cambrian period, an incredible variety of new life forms emerged, many of which had features like shells, exoskeletons, and specialized body structures. This was the first time in Earth's history that complex animals with diverse body plans appeared in the fossil record. In fact, most of the major groups of animals we see today, such as arthropods, mollusks, and chordates, can trace their origins back to the Cambrian Explosion. It was a time when evolution worked at an incredible pace, and life evolved into forms we now recognize as the ancestors of modern animals. But what caused this sudden burst of life? There are several theories, and while we may never know the full picture, scientists have identified a few key factors that may have contributed to this evolutionary event. One of the most widely accepted explanations is the increase in oxygen levels in Earth's atmosphere and oceans. As we discussed in the previous video, the Great Oxygenation Event introduced oxygen into Earth's environment. But it took millions of years for oxygen levels to stabilize. By the Cambrian period, oxygen had reached levels that could support more complex life forms. Oxygen is essential for energy production in cells, and as oxygen became more abundant, it allowed organisms to grow larger and develop more complex body structures. Another factor that may have contributed to the Cambrian Explosion is the evolution of predation. Before the Cambrian period, most life forms were passive, feeding on microbes or organic material in the environment. But during the Cambrian, the first predators appeared, which likely drove an evolutionary arms race. Prey animals developed shells and exoskeletons for protection, while predators evolved better ways to hunt and capture their food. This push-and-pull dynamic may have fueled the rapid diversification of life during this time. Additionally, genetic changes may have played a significant role. The evolution of Hox genes, which control the development of body plans in animals, allowed organisms to evolve more complex structures, such as limbs, segments, and specialized organs. These genes acted as a kind of blueprint for the development of different body parts, allowing for a wide variety of body shapes and functions to emerge during the Cambrian period. Now let's talk about some of the new life forms that appeared during the Cambrian Explosion. One of the most famous groups to evolve during this time was the arthropods, a group that includes insects, spiders, and crustaceans. Early arthropods had segmented bodies and jointed limbs, which gave them an advantage in mobility and adaptability. They were among the first creatures to develop hard exoskeletons, providing protection and support. Another important group that emerged was the mollusks, which include modern-day snails, clams, and octopuses. Mollusks evolved diverse body structures, from soft-bodied organisms to those with hard shells. They quickly became successful in a variety of marine environments. Perhaps the most significant group to evolve during the Cambrian Explosion was the chordates, which include all animals with the backbone, from fish to mammals. The appearance of early chordates set the stage for the evolution of vertebrates, including humans. The Cambrian Explosion didn't just produce new species, it also created entire ecosystems with complex food webs. For the first time, there was a clear distinction between predators, prey, and scavengers, and organisms began to fill different ecological niches. This increased complexity in ecosystems may have driven even more diversity in life forms, as organisms adapted to fill different roles in the environment. But how do we know all of this? Much of our understanding of the Cambrian Explosion comes from the fossil record, particularly from sites like the Burgess Shale in Canada and the Chengjiang fossil site in China. These locations contain incredibly well-preserved fossils that give us a snapshot of life during the Cambrian period. Fossils from these sites show intricate details of soft-bodied organisms, which are rarely preserved in other types of rock. So why is the Cambrian explosion so important? The burst of evolutionary activity that occurred during this period laid the foundation for nearly all modern animal life. The body plans and features that evolved during the Cambrian period have remained relatively stable throughout evolutionary history, and they form the blueprint for much of the biodiversity we see today. Without the Cambrian explosion, the world would look very different. The animals that populate the Earth today, including humans, may never have evolved if it weren't for the evolutionary innovations that occurred during this crucial time. The Cambrian explosion reminds us that life on Earth has a long and complex history, full of dramatic changes and sudden bursts of creativity. It was a time when life as we know it truly began to take shape, and it set the stage for everything that came after. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed learning about the Cambrian explosion, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the history of life on Earth. And don't forget to check out our quiz shorts to test your knowledge on Earth's incredible evolutionary journey. See you in the next video.